The signal that changed everything. The distress call wasn't supposed to reach Earth. It came from a dying ship. Tumbling through the void at the edge of the Sirius sector, a region of space humanity had only recently begun to chart. The signal was weak, fragmented, encoded in a language no human had ever heard. But the mathematics were universal. Coordinates, urgency, desperation. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood in the communications hub of the Odyssey station, Earth's most advanced deep space monitoring outpost, staring at the cascading waveforms on her screen. The signal had been looping for 6 hours before her team isolated it from the cosmic noise. Now, translated by the station's AI, the message was clear. We are dying. Our ship is failing. If anyone can hear this, please. We do not wish to perish alone. Lena's hand trembled as she replayed the message. The voice is synthetic, yes, but carrying an unmistakable tone of fear belonged to something not human. First contact. Humanity had dreamed of it, prepared for it, feared it, but never like this. Within 30 minutes, the message had reached United Earth Command. Within 2 hours, a decision was made. Humanity would respond. Admiral James Corwin didn't believe in hesitation. A veteran of the resource wars and the architect of Earth's first interstellar fleet, he understood that moments like these defined civilizations. The alien ship was 3 days away at maximum burn. 3 days to decide what humanity wanted to be, isolationist and cautious, or bold and compassionate. We go, Corwin said, his voice cutting through the debate in the war room. We go because if we don't, we'll spend the rest of our existence wondering what we lost. The fleet mobilized faster than anyone thought possible. 6 ships, humanity's finest. The Vanguard, Corwin's flagship, led the formation. Beside it, the medical vessel Mercy, the science cruiser Archimedes, and 3 rapid response frigates Dauntless, Relentless, and Horizon. Each ship carried the best humanity had to offer: engineers, soldiers, diplomats, medics, scientists. 2,000 souls, hurtling toward the unknown. Elena Vasquez was among them. She'd insisted. If humanity was making first contact, she wanted to be there, not watching from a monitor halfway across the solar system. The journey was tense. The alien signal grew weaker with each passing hour, and the Vanguard's long-range scanners painted a grim picture. The alien vessel was hemorrhaging atmosphere, its power signature flickering like a dying star. Whatever had happened to it, time was running out. On the 3rd day, they arrived. The alien ship was massive, easily twice the size of the Vanguard. Its hull was a patchwork of dark metal and bioluminescent veins that pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat struggling to continue. Sections of the vessel were scorched black, venting frozen gas into the vacuum. It spun slowly, tumbling end over end, a monument to some catastrophe humanity could only guess at. My God, whispered Captain Rains, the Vanguard's second in command. What happened to them? Corwin's jaw tightened. Scan for life signs. Get me a count. The Archimedes responded first. We're detecting biosignatures, Admiral. Faint, but present. Estimate. 200, maybe fewer? The ship's environmental systems are collapsing. They have hours, not days. Prep boarding teams, Corwin ordered. Medical and engineering priority. We're getting them out. Lena found herself suiting up alongside a team of Marines and medics. Her hands shook as she checked her helmet seals, but her mind was sharp. This was it. Humanity's first step into a larger universe. The boarding shuttle latched onto the alien hull with a hiss of pressure equalization. The Marines breached the airlock, weapons raised but not aimed. Inside, the corridors were dim, lit only by the faint glow of the bioluminescent veins running through the walls. The air was thin, cold, tainted with the acrid smell of burning circuitry. They found the first alien 10 meters in. It was slumped against a wall, its body vaguely humanoid, but impossibly wrong. For arms elongated and multi-jointed. Skin, like polished obsidian, shot through with veins of silver that no longer glowed. Its head was angular, featuring 3 eyes, 2 forward-facing, 1 on the side. It wore a tattered uniform of some kind, Embedded with technology, Alina couldn't begin to understand. Is it? One of the Marines whispered. Alina knelt beside the creature, scanning it with her medkit. Alive? Barely. Get a stretcher. They moved deeper into the ship, finding more survivors. Some were conscious, their three-eyed gazes tracking the humans with a mixture of fear and hope. Others were unconscious, their silver veins dim and cold. The medical teams worked with frantic efficiency, stabilizing who they could, marking those beyond help, in what appeared to be the ship's bridge. They found her. She stood alone, her back to them. Hands moving across a control console that sparked and flickered. She was taller than the others, her silver veins glowing brighter, pulsing with a rhythm that seemed almost defiant. When she turned, her three eyes locked onto Alina. For a moment, neither species moved. Then the alien spoke. Her voice came through a translator device embedded in her uniform, halting and mechanical but understandable. You came, I did not believe. Anyone would come. Alina stepped forward slowly, hands open. We heard your distress call. We're here to help. The alien's body sagged, relief washing over her features. Humanity was learning to read in real time. I am Kayla, navigator of the threshold. We were attacked. Our fleet is gone. We are all that remains. Who attacked you? Alina asked gently. Kayla's eyes darkened. A plague upon the stars. They do not negotiate. They do not stop. They consume. We fled, but our ship could not endure. Admiral Corwin's voice crackled in Alina's earpiece. Ask her if they're still being pursued. Alina relayed the question. Kayla's answer sent ice through her veins. They are always pursuing. Asterisk, when hunters meet guardians, the Vanguard's bridge erupted into controlled chaos. Contact. Multiple signatures dropping out of FTL, bearing 270. The sensor officer's voice was sharp, professional, but Alina could hear the edge of fear beneath it. Admiral Corwin's eyes never left the tactical display. How many? 12. No, 15. Admiral, they're big. Mass readings are off the charts. Through the Vanguard's viewports, space itself seemed to tear open. Gashes of sickly green light appeared in the black. From them emerged the Devourers. They weren't ships in any sense. Humanity understood. They were organic vast, segmented creatures that moved through space like predatory eels through deep water. Each one was easily a kilometer long, their hulls covered in chitinous plates that absorbed light rather than reflected it. Bioluminescent organs pulsed along their flanks and at their forward sections. Massive orifices ringed with bone-like protrusions opened and closed rhythmically, tasting the void for prey. Jesus Christ, Captain Rains whispered. They're alive. On the salvage shuttle still docked to the threshold, Kayla saw the signatures appear on her failing console. Her silver veins flared bright with something that looked like pure terror. No, they found us. They always find us. Alina gripped the alien navigator's shoulder, an instinctive gesture of comfort that transcended species. Our fleet is here. We won't abandon you. You don't understand. Kayla's translator crackled with urgency. Your ships, they are small. The Devourers have consumed 100 civilizations. They have never been stopped. You must flee while you can. Save yourselves. Lena met those three alien eyes. We don't leave people behind. That's not who we are. Back on the Vanguard, Corwin was already moving pieces on his tactical board like a chess grandmaster. Humanity's fleet was outnumbered 3-1, facing an enemy no one understood. But James Corwin hadn't survived 3 decades of warfare by playing it safe. All ships, combat formation, Delta 7. Dauntless, relentless, horizon screen formation around the threshold. Mercy and Archimedes pull back to defensive positions. Vanguard will take point. Admiral Captain Rains began. We don't know their capabilities, their weapons. Then we're about to learn. Corwin's voice was iron. Weapons free. Target the lead creature. Let's see if they bleed. The first salvo from the Vanguard's railguns was beautiful and terrible. Tungsten slugs, accelerated to a fraction of light speed, crossed the distance in seconds. They struck the lead Devourer's chitinous armor and penetrated, punching through into the creature's interior. Viscous, luminescent fluid sprayed into the void. Freezing instantly into glittering clouds, the devourer screamed, not in sound, but in electromagnetic radiation that rattled every sensor array in the human fleet. It convulsed, its segmented body writhing, and then it began to change. Ports opened along its flanks. From within, something launched hundreds of smaller organisms, each the size of a fighter craft, swarming toward the human fleet like angry hornets from a kicked nest. Asterisk. Point defense now. Corwin barked. The Vanguard's automated turrets came alive, tracking and firing in microsecond bursts. The void lit up with tracer fire as the human ships tried to thin the swarm. They killed dozens, then hundreds, but more kept coming. The first wave hit the Relentless. The biofighters latched onto the hull, their bodies pulsing as they began to burrow. Alarms shrieked through the frigate as hull breaches multiplied. Relentless is compromised, the comms officer reported. They're eating through the armor. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen, captain of the Relentless, made her decision in heartbeats. All hands, emergency purge. Vent all external decks. Explosive bolts fired along the Relentless's hull. Entire sections of the outer structure blew away, carrying the burrowing creatures with them into space. The ship bled atmosphere and debris, but it survived. Barely. Innovative, Corwin muttered, with grim approval. All ships, if they board you, vent them. Vanguard, switching to plasma torpedoes. Let's cook these bastards. The Vanguard's torpedo tubes cycled, launching magnetically contained plasma into the swarm. Where the superheated charges detonated, biofighters simply vaporized, their organic bodies unable to withstand the millions of degrees of heat. But the adult devourers were adapting too. They'd learned from the railgun impacts. As the human ships fired again, the creatures began to roll and twist, presenting angled armor that deflected or absorbed the kinetic rounds. They were learning and learning fast. Then they fired back. From the creatures' mouths, organic projectiles launched massive, pulsing spheres of condensed biomatter. They moved slower than human weapons, but where they impacted, they stuck, spreading across hull plating like living acid. The Dauntless took 2 hits to its port side. Metal began to bubble and melt. They're dissolving our armor, the Dauntless captain reported. We need superheated coolant flush, came a new voice over the command channel. It was Dr. Yuki Tanaka from the Archimedes, the fleet's chief xenobiologist. If they're organic, they can't survive extreme temperature shifts. Flush your coolant system through the affected areas. The thermal shock should kill the organism. The Dauntless complied. Pipes meant to cool the ship's reactor instead pumped superheated fluid through channels near the hull. The bioacid recoiled, withering and flaking off like dead skin. It worked. Tanaka's voice carried a note of triumph. Temperature extremes are their weakness. Corwin seized the advantage. All ships concentrate fire on individual targets. Plasma weapons priority burn them one at a time. Archimedes, keep analyzing. I want every weakness you can find. The battle became a brutal dance of adaptation. The Devourers tried to swarm, too overwhelmed with numbers. The human fleet responded with coordinated fire, ships covering each other, using the threshold as an anchor point for their formation. When the creatures tried to flank, the frigates reposited with thruster bursts that would have pulverized their crews if not for the inertial slast. Kala watched from the salvage shuttle, her 3 eyes wide. Impossible, she breathed. No one fights the Devourers. No one survives them. Alina was monitoring the battle feeds, her scientist mind cataloging everything. How do they usually hunt? They find lone ships, isolated colonies. They overwhelm them with numbers before help can arrive. But your people. Kella's translator struggled with what might have been awe. Your people fight as one. Every ship knows where the others are. You compensate for each other's weaknesses. You adapt. We've had a lot of practice, Alina said quietly. Humans are very good at killing things that want to kill us. On the Vanguard, a junior officer suddenly shouted, Admiral, we've got a problem. Long-range sensors are picking up more signatures. At least 30 more Devourers inbound from the outer system. ETA 14 minutes. The bridge fell silent. They'd barely survived 15. 45 was impossible. Captain Rains turned to Corwin, face pale. "Admiral, we need to evacuate the threshold survivors and jump to FTL now while we can." Corwin studied the tactical display, jaw working. Every instinct honed over decades of command screamed at him to retreat. But he saw something else on that display, the threshold, still venting atmosphere, still holding 200 alien souls that had nowhere to run. "No," he said finally. We buy time for the evacuation." And then his eyes found the navigation officer. "Prep a fold space jump, but not away from here." Rains blinked. Sir Corwin's smile was wolfish. "If they want to swarm, we'll give them a target they can't resist. Navigation, calculate a jump point right into the middle of that incoming fleet. We're going to break their formation before they can coordinate." "That's insane," Rains said. "We'll be surrounded," Galwin replied. "And they won't be able to fire without hitting each other. Sometimes the best defense is absolutely terrifying offense." The evacuation of the threshold accelerated. Every available shuttle made the run, pulling survivors off the dying ship. Kayla refused to leave until every last member of her crew was safe. As the last shuttle detached, the swarm of 30 devourers began to appear on long-range sensors, their biosignatures painting the darkness with malevolent light. Corwin's voice carried across the fleet channel, steady and sure. "All hands, this is Admiral Corwin. In 60 seconds, we jump. We're going to do something no one has ever done before. We're going to ram the idea of human stubbornness so far down these creatures. Throats they'll choke on it. Stand ready. Stand together. Show them what humanity does when you threaten those under our protection." He paused. Then added with grim humor, "And if you've got any gods. Now's the time to say hello." The fold space drives began to spin up, reality itself beginning to bend around the human fleet. Kayla, now safely aboard the Vanguard, watched the view screen with all three eyes. She whispered something in her own language, a prayer perhaps, or a benediction for the brave. Alina stood beside her. "Welcome to humanity," she said softly. "We're a little crazy, but we don't leave people behind." The drives reached critical threshold, space folded, and 6 human ships disappeared from the battlefield, leaving only the echo of their defiance in the void. Asterisk. The day humanity refused to yield, the human fleet emerged from fold space directly into the heart of hell. 30 devourer bioships materialized on every side, their massive forms so close that the Vanguard's crew could see the individual chitinous plates shifting on their hulls. For a single, frozen moment, both predator and prey were equally surprised. Then Admiral Corwin's voice cut through the shock. "All ships, weapons free. Fire everything." The void erupted into chaos. At point-blank range, humanity's weapons were devastatingly effective. Railgun slugs punched through devourer armor before the creatures could angle their plates. Plasma torpedoes detonated against unprotected flanks, cooking internal organs. The Vanguard and its escort ships became a whirling sphere of destruction, firing in all directions simultaneously, but Corwin's prediction proved correct. The Devourers couldn't coordinate their attack without risking friendly fire. Their bioprojectiles, meant to dissolve human hulls, instead struck their own kind. One Devourer, attempting to launch its fighter swarm, was torn apart when another's acid sphere caught it mid-deployment. Bioluminescent fluids sprayed across the battlefield like phosphorescent blood, their breaking formation. The tactical officer shouted, "The swarm is scattering." Dr. Tanaka's voice crackled from the Archimedes. "Admiral, I'm detecting something. The Devourers, they communicate through electromagnetic pulses. But at this range, with this many in one place, they're interfering with each other. They're jamming their own signals." Corwin's eyes gleamed. "So they're pack hunters who can't function in a crowd. Navigation, maintain position. Keep them clustered around us. Let's turn their strength into a weakness." The relentless, still venting frozen atmosphere from its earlier damage pulled alongside a Devourer twice its size. Lieutenant Commander Chen made a decision that would earn her a medal. A court-martial. Engineering, route all power to forward railguns. I want a sustained barrage, point blank, same target. We're going to saw this thing in half. Frigate's guns fired in a continuous stream, each slug following the track of the last, boring deeper and deeper into the devourer's body. The creature writhed, trying to bring its weapons to bear. But the relentless matched every movement, its pilot flying with suicidal precision. Finally, with a cascade of freezing biofluid, the devourer's body separated, both halves tumbling away into the void. Relentless confirms kill. Chen's voice was breathless. One down. On the Vanguard's bridge, Alina Vasquez stood beside Kayla, both watching the tactical display in stunned silence. The navigator's silver veins pulsed with rapid, agitated light. "This is impossible," Kayla whispered. "The Devourers have hunted the stars for millennia. They have consumed the Jarrick Imperium. They shattered the Confederation of Thousand Suns. They are inevitable." "How are you?" "Because we've been the underdog before," Alina said, watching another Devourer fragment under concentrated fire. "Humanity spent thousands of years fighting each other, surviving ice ages, plagues, wars that should have destroyed us. We learned to adapt or die, and we got really good at adapting." The battle had lasted 7 minutes when something changed. The Devourers stopped attacking as one. The surviving creatures, perhaps 20 remained, began to pull away from the human fleet. Their movements suddenly coordinated again. They formed a loose sphere at a distance, their bioluminescent organs pulsing in synchronized patterns. "What are they doing?" Captain Rains demanded. Dr. Tanaka's voice was tight with concern. "They're communicating, and I'm detecting energy buildup in all of them simultaneously." "Admiral, I think they're about to." The Devourers opened. Along each creature's flanks, massive ports dilated, revealing internal chambers that glowed with building power. Not biological weapons this time, something worse. The energy signatures were off the scale, building toward a simultaneous discharge. "It's a directed energy weapon," Tanaka reported, her voice rising. "They're going to hit us with everything at once." "Our shields can't evasive maneuvers," Corwin ordered. "All ships break formation, maximum thrust." But the Devourers had learned too. They'd tracked the humans' movement patterns, calculated their thrust capabilities. The energy discharge came from 20 angles simultaneously, beams of concentrated bioluminescent energy that could vaporize. Titanium steel alloy in macros. The horizon took a direct hit. Its port side simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. The frigate spun wildly, leaking atmosphere and bodies. "Horizon is gone," the comms officer reported, voice breaking. "No survivors. 400 souls. Gone in a heartbeat." The bridge of the Vanguard fell into stunned silence. This was the reality of first contact. This was the cost of defending strangers in an uncaring universe. Admiral Corwin's face became stone. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of every human who had ever stood against impossible odds. "All ships, tight formation around Vanguard. Route emergency power to shields overlap them. We're going to share the load. Asterisk. The surviving human vessels, Vanguard, Dauntless, Relentless, Mercy, and Archimedes pulled together, their shields linking into a composite barrier. It was desperate, improvised, and possibly suicidal. The Devourers charged their weapons again. "Shield strength at 40%, the engineering officer reported. "We can maybe take one more volley. Maybe." Kella's 3 eyes were fixed on the display, her body trembling. "I am sorry," she said quietly. "We should have died alone. We should not have brought this upon you." Elena took the alien's four-fingered hand in hers. "You didn't bring anything?" "We chose this. That's what makes us human." On the tactical display, the Devourer energy signatures peaked. 20 biological warships, preparing to unleash annihilation. Then, at the edge of the sensor range, something new appeared. "Contact." The sensor officer shouted, new signatures emerging from fold space. Multiple ships, bearing the comms, erupted with transmissions. Not in English. Not in any human language. But the Vanguard's translation AI worked frantically, parsing alien syntax, matching it against Kella's linguistic patterns, a voice powerful, resonant alien cut through the chaos. Human vessels. This is War Leader Thren of the Kellian Defense Fleet. We received your distress beacon. We received your defiance. Hold your position. The Kellian Armada has arrived. Through the viewports, space tore open with emerald light. Not 12 ships. Not 3,300. Asterisk, the Kellian Armada was a sight to inspire legends. Their vessels were elegant, organic like the Devourers, but clearly technologically winged ships, bonded with their crews. Silver veins glowing with coordinated purpose. They moved like a school of predatory fish, each ship knowing instinctively where the others would be. Kella's entire body blazed with light, her silver veins flaring so bright that Elena had to shield her eyes. The Armada, she breathed. They came. They actually came. How? Elena asked. You said your fleet was destroyed. The Threshold sent an emergency beacon. When we jumped to FTL, Kayla explained, words tumbling over each other. A call to all Kellian vessels anywhere in the sector. But the nearest fleet was 2 days away. We would have been dead before she turned to Elena, understanding dawning. You held them, for us. Long enough for my people to arrive. The Kellian Armada didn't hesitate. They hit the Devourers like a tsunami of coordinated fury. Where the human ships had fought with improvised tactics and desperate courage, the Kellians fought with millennia of experience against this specific enemy. They knew the Devourers' weaknesses, their patterns. Their biology, bioships died by the dozen. Asterisk War Leader Thren's voice came through again. This time directed at Admiral Corwin. Human Admiral, your tactical display will now sync with ours. Fight with us? Show us this humanity we have heard so much about in your transmissions. Corwin's stern face cracked into a predatory grin. You heard the War Leader. All ships integrate into the Kellion battle network. Let's finish this. What followed wasn't a battle, it was an execution. The Devourers, caught between human unpredictability and Kellian expertise, broke. For perhaps the first time in their species' history, they fled. Those that didn't retreat fast enough were torn apart by combined fire from two species who had decided that some things like protecting the innocent were worth dying for within 20 minutes. The last Devourer vanished into fold space, trailing bioluminescent fluid like glowing blood. The void fell silent. 40-8 hours later, the combined human-Kellian fleet orbited a barren moon in neutral space. Repairs were underway. The dead were being honored. And in the conference room of the Vanguard, history was being made. Admiral Corwin stood across a table from War Leader Thren, a Kellian who stood nearly 7 feet tall. His forearms crossed in what Elena's cultural database suggested was a gesture of respect. Between them, Dr. Vasquez served as humanity's voice for first contact protocols. Your species, Thren said through his translator, fights with a ferocity we have not witnessed in 300 cycles. You protected refugees you did not know, against an enemy you had never seen, with technology centuries behind our own. Why? Corwin met those 3 alien eyes steadily. Because it was the right thing to do. Because in the long run, the universe judges species not by their weapons, but by their choices. We chose to help. Asterisk Thren's silver veins pulsed with what might have been approval. Then let this be remembered. Today, 2 species met not in conquest, but in common cause. The Kellian Confederacy owes humanity a debt. We would honor it by offering something precious alliance. Elena felt tears threatening. Humanity had reached for the stars, searching for meaning, for purpose, for proof they weren't alone. And in one desperate battle, they'd found not just aliens, but friends. The United Earth government will be honored to accept, Corwin said formally. Then, more quietly, with a soldier's weariness, we lost good people today. The Horizon's crew, they deserved to see this moment. They did see it, Kayla said softly. She'd been standing at the back of the room, recovering but insisting on attending. They saw it in the choice they made to fight. In every human who refused to abandon us? Your people have a saying, Dr. Vasquez taught me. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. Your horizon died as brothers to people they had never met. There is no greater honor. Thren extended one of his 4 hands across the table. Corwin clasped it, the first handshake between species. Welcome to the galactic community, Admiral Corwin, Thren said. The stars have been waiting for humanity. I think they will be glad you have finally arrived. EPLOGU 6 months later. The United Earth Government announced the Treaty of Siriusa Mutual Defense Pact with the Kellyan Confederacy. Humanity's fleet began expanding, incorporating Kellyan technology, while teaching alien engineers the human concepts of improvisation and creative problem-solving. The Horizons crew was honored with humanity's first interstellar memorial, a monument placed at the battle site bearing a simple inscription in both English and Kellyan. They were strangers, yet they came. They were outnumbered, yet they stood. They were mortal, yet they defied the inevitable. This is humanity. This is why the stars welcomed us home. Dr. Elena Vasquez accepted a position as Earth's first xenocultural ambassador, working alongside Kayla, who had chosen to remain with the humans who saved her life, and Admiral James Corwin. When asked by a reporter how humanity had survived first contact with a hostile alien species, gave an answer that would be quoted for generations. We survived because we remembered what we are. Not the strongest, not the most advanced, but the species that looked at the impossible and said, not today. That's humanity. That's who we've always been. That's who we'll always be. The Devourers would return, eventually. Other threats would emerge from the dark between stars, but now humanity would not face them alone. Now, the galaxy had learned what happened when you threatened those under humanity's protection. Now, universe knew humanity had arrived, asterisk.